to the Nerdentials podcast, starring your hosts, Joe Tweedy, Matthew Johnson, Nick Thomas, and Lynn Dudgeon.
Hey guys, welcome to Nerdentials, your weekly dose of the nerdy essentials covering film, TV, video games, and comic books. I'm your host, Joe Tweeden, and with me today is Nick Thomas and the Lynn Dudgeon. Boys, welcome to the show. The enthusiasm is explosive here tonight, guys. I'm trying to calm them down as I edit. Anyway, so we're doing something a little different. This is a Nerdentials episode for sure, for all the people that have been following us up to this point. But as one of our surprises that I had talked about in a previous episode or two, where we were working on additional content, as Lynn goes wild with his collectibles, I would like to point out that this is going to be actually the pilot episode for a new podcast that we kind of do alongside of Nerdentials. You guys are not going to get any less Nerdentials. I mean, we're very incoherent with how often we upload anyway. You'll still get the same number of regular Nerdentials talks coming out, but on the side, we will be putting out a episode of this new show called Nerds of Destiny. Now, I know what you're thinking, if you're a Destiny fan. Anyway, I mean, if you're casual, don't go looking anywhere else. Just follow this particular podcast if you're interested in the game Destiny, the shared world shooter Destiny. Now, if you are a Destiny fan and you're listening to this, you already know and probably listen to a handful of other Destiny podcasts out there. We're no stranger to that. I listen to a dozen of them myself. And we're doing this for really two reasons. Well, one key reason that I'd like to share for sure, off the top of my head. The number one reason we're doing this is a handful of us, at least all of us that are here today, and again, Matt couldn't be here for this one. He'll be on the next one for sure. We're all fans and are very enthusiastic about the game Destiny. It's got a sweet spot in each of our hearts, and we realized over the last month or two, and even since the inception of Nerdentials, that we talk about Destiny a lot. A lot for a variety show that covers a lot of other things, and we've so much
we should be sponsored.
You would imagine, but we found ourselves often when we do an episode where we talk about Destiny, that ends up being almost the entire episode. Sorry to excite or disappoint anyone listening to this episode, but this is going to be an entire Destiny only episode. So if this is not your bag of tea, just know that it's a side project we're working on, and we'll see you guys in the next Nerd Show. But for anyone new to our show and also a fan of Destiny, welcome and enjoy the conversation. Become part of the conversation too. We have a Twitters and Facebooks all with this show, Nerds of Destiny. It will be on its own podcast feed. And we will have a Discord chat channel up for this by the time this episode airs. Kind of getting all that out of the way, essentially. Let me give you guys the new opening, so you kind of guys got a little basic scope of what we're going to be week to week. What I was saying before is we wanted to do this podcast not because we're going to be the only Destiny podcast out there. That's not the case. We want to do it as a platform for us to spend time that doesn't overwhelm our current listeners over at Nerdentials, but a place where new listeners who are sharing the same interest as us can just jump on board fully and get involved in our conversations. That being said, welcome, Guardians, to the Nerds of Destiny. the podcast that dives deep into every essential part of your addiction. Or that one game, Destiny. Anyway, I'm your host, Blue Streak. Across from me is Thanatos DB87. Sir?
Hey.
And next to him is Oni111.
I'm next to him? What?
You will be in the edit.
I got excited quick. Sorry.
Easy. Oh, well.
Visually speaking, sir.
You're too excited.
But guys, you might have found this show possibly by random, simply looking up the game Destiny, or you found us from our other works over at Nerdentials Media. We do another nerdy show over there.
Wait, hold on. Is it random, or is it Destiny that they found us?
Ooh.
Sorry for the cheese. I had to.
Oni shall be full of the cheese throughout the episode. I don't know where to go from there, but anyway, guys, you'll know our true identities over at Nerdentials, but we will mostly refer to ourselves as our gamer tags. So, if anyone wants to go find our clans, we have a Nerdentials clan on Destiny, ironically, and or just our gamer tags if you guys want to hook up and chat or play Destiny. But we'll also have all those other connectivity tissues like the Discord, the Twitters, the Facebooks. But guys, in our pilot episode, I thought one thing I wanted to dive into that was very recent, a little late for everyone else. Everyone else has already talked about it and gushed about it, but you know what? We haven't had our time yet. Destiny.
Did we forsake it?
Huh?
Did we forsake it?
We may have forsaken our time, but let's take this time and try to bring back a little bit of the light, shall we?
Yeah.
So, guys, Destiny 2, Year 2. The stream was revealed. Hey, Oni111 puns out the booyah. Remember, it's all right.
That was punishment, though, dude. That was
Punishment. That being said, this happened on the morning of Tuesday, whatever date that was. You all know. You've all heard it already. So we're just going to retread a little bit of the intrigue and excitement. We're going to quickly talk about what's coming this fall in the Destiny 2 Year 2 content drop. It's officially been called Destiny 2 Forsaken. That's the title. And we're going to... I know. Oh my gosh. We've got some plot, some bullet points, and then we'll dive into the various sections and talk about what we like, what we don't like, and whether we think these changes are going to benefit the future of Destiny or not.
And if you haven't seen the video for it, I'm pretty sure Joe will put a link in there somewhere.
I'll put a link in the description too. So if you haven't watched it yet, there's a 10-minute one to the link I'm going to put down below. So click on that, give that a quick watch, and then join the discussion with us. I'll wait. All right, thanks for coming back, guys. Here it is. Let's get into this. So
that was too long of a wait.
It was. You really guys need to get through that content a little faster. So, the plot for this expansion goes as follows. Following years of strife, what remains of the Reef has fallen to lawlessness. You and Cade 6 are sent to personally investigate the recent unrest. Upon arrival, you soon discover the most wanted criminals in the Prison of Elders have organized an escape. Beyond the Vanguard's authority, you'll pursue these fugitives deep into the Reef, explore new regions, awaken new powers, earn powerful weapons, and uncover long-lost awoken secrets. The hunt is on. Before we dive into our feelings about the future story for this, I'm going to run down just some of the list of things that we can expect in this release, and then we'll break it apart bit by bit. So here we go.
By bit.
So, within that plot, we will be hunting down the 8 barons and their crew. They seem to be the new bads for this plot. This will include 2 new destinations, the Tangled Shore, which is that new section of the reef, and the Dreaming City, which we hear is part of this brand new raid that they're including.
Yeah, and it looked like the Tangled Shore was like meteorites and stuff like anchored together.
We'll dive into the aesthetic of that looking. Shortly. They're introducing a new game mode called Gambit, a 4v4 competitive PvE mode. Should be interesting. They will also include wielding new powers with 9 additional supers. That's exceptional. 3 per class. Collecting new exotics, armor, and gear. So they're just adding more to all the standards there. An all-new weapon archetyped, the legendary bow. I'm excited to talk about that shortly. New story missions, adventures, and of course destination activities and more. With this, we'll talk about the bonus content that you will get if you pre-order, and we'll talk about the costs and breakdowns of that. But before we get to all that crap, that wonderful, wonderful, juicy crap, let's dive and break down some of the things they are adding and or changing to this game. The first thing I wanted to get on your guys' quick hot take opinion on the plot for this expansion. I am a huge lore enthusiast. I listen to a handful of podcasts. I would give a quick shout out to Ghost Stories. I absolutely love their podcast. They go very deep into the lore for Destiny 1 and Destiny as a whole. So I really like this. The developers were talking about Cade 6 had been spending time during the Destiny 2 events, like after the Red War. He's been throwing different prisoners and bad guys into this prison, and it looks like there may be an escape situation that we have to tackle. And it seems pretty robust, pretty, what do you want to call it, on the frontier, going into this lawlessness. I really like the tone and setting. It sounds gritty. What do you guys think about as far as the direction for story that they're taking with this? Thanatos, Oni, what say ye?
I like the idea behind it. The way it was described is almost like a Destiny meets Kill Bill or some other
I was going to say maybe
Western
even the
style
Wild
type
West.
thing. Yeah. Well, because the Kill Bill thing, they kind of tried to make it modern and do that whole
Did
West
you just try to
feel.
cough something under your breath, sir? Firefly.
Yeah, Firefly.
Nice reference. There you go.
Yes. Kind of makes sense since the voice
Yeah,
for
a little
Cade.
Nathan Fillion action going on back there. I like that.
He kind of does the whole Western pirate space
He does it well.
stuff well.
Pretty well.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I was a bit excited with this reveal. I would also like to get a little bit more of when Cade was human in this. Like a little bit more of the lore of when Cade was human.
This seems very current. I don't know how much we'll get into like his past per se. It would be cool if we could find some of that.
Yeah, no, I know.
Because there is...
But they hit it in vanilla D2, but
Okay.
they might be able to hide it in with the lore. Like if they do like legendary quests or exotic quests with the new expansion.
True.
They might be able to incorporate it in like what they did with Anna Bray and, her sister in the most recent expansion of the Warmind.
And I hope for some more cutscenes of Cade just being a badass.
Or the Colonel. Or just the Colonel.
The Colonel? Yeah, the Colonel.
Well, you never know. A little
I don't-
teaser to other content they've added that we'll get into. We are getting lore returning in a more physical form, similar, not unlike the Grimoire cards, but more or less in the form of collections. which I guess I'll just throw out there now. Among the many different features they're adding to kind of appease the variety of fans out there, I know the guys over at Ghost Stories are going to eat the crap out of this. Under collections, are adding basically what a lot of me as a gamer, I like seeing the results of what I collect and the results of the time I spend in collecting said things. So this is really cool. More or less like an achievement tracker, but this is also kind of a throwback to any of you Diablo 3 fans out there. They have the massive book that tracks every 90, 100, whatever accomplishments of everything you collect, open, chapters you get through, everything. So this is kind of like Destiny, Bungie's answer to that. By documenting everything you collect. They have a Triumph section in this, which...
From D1.
Yes, you're...
Well, no, like from D1, where they did all the Triumph.
I really liked it when they brought that in. Did they not bring in the full scope of it till year 3, or did they bring it on earlier?
It wasn't until Taken King when they actually started introducing the Triumph.
That's what I thought.
They did three sets of Triumph books.
Right.
Because they did one for the Iron Lords expansion.
Right. I thoroughly enjoyed that when I saw them bring that in. So with collections, they're also bringing in new Triumphs for this year 2 introduction. But the thing, there's a lore section. That's where I was going with this. Is that it's going to actually collect lore that you find. So, like, you're going to go scan a thing or go find a spot, and lore is going to get added to this collection section that you can then go into your inventory and read over. Oh, wow, that's kind of like Grimoire, but it's in the game? What? This is interesting.
Wait. So all those scannables that we've been scanning for no purpose will now actually mean something?
They'll show up somewhere that we can actually, remember, other than just...
No, we're gonna have to scan them again.
That's something I'm wondering about. I'm not holding my breath on this, but of all the things we have collected and dismantled, it does make you wonder. It's like, okay, well, now they're tracking it. Are they gonna apply the previous game history to what you have collected and be like, so when the update happens, you're like, oh, I've already got 20 of these out of the 200.
With all of the other Triumph books, they did incorporate that.
They did that in the past, so they might for this. That would be nice, because I can think of.
It's a big maybe.
I know they're claiming in my bullet points here in the dev stream, the 10-minute one that I have linked. They mentioned there's over 2,000 items to collect with this current update, and I imagine with the additional content drops they'll add to that. But just right off the back, September 4th, we're going to have 2,000 items.
To have the fun.
Huh?
If you pay to have the fun.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Other cool thing is collecting sets, so like armor sets. Like, you're going to be able to track if you have a full set of armor or not. I like the fact that they're distinguishing that.
Like, all of the planetary armors.
Or the unique raid ones that you can only get through the raid. Stuff like that.
They started doing that kind of, like, this last week's faction rally.
Mm-hmm.
You could unlock stuff if you did the whole thing in the previous faction rallies.
Yeah, and each faction has their own unique set, yeah. Mm-hmm. That one's a little complicated because as of right now you can only pledge to one across all 3 characters, whereas in the previous faction rally everyone was taking each character and pledging to a different one so they could try to maximize what they get out of all 3 of them. I haven't gotten far enough.
Yeah, who doesn't have all the gear for each one of the factions for each character?
Oni. Not all of us have enough time.
He is the only one.
He is. That name is very fitting with the amount of time you put into this. I don't
have that much time, though.
Okay, hey, are you into faction? On a quick side note, are you fully playing through any faction right now? Are you like trying to level up any?
Yeah.
What rank are you? Just curious.
I think my hunter is the only one that's the highest, and they're like, I think 25 out of 50.
Wow. I should have put you to shame by telling you where I'm at first. I mean, I should have made you feel bad by telling you where I'm at first, so that then you could sheepishly admit what level you're at. I've been playing as much as I can. I'm having a hard enough time, sir, that I've finally got to rank 5 with my faction I'm dedicated to. Future War Cult for the win.
Dead
Future
Orbit.
War? Dead Orbit,
I
come
know
on.
Future War Cult doesn't
Dead
win, so it's my
Orbit.
hope I can get to rank 50 and just unlock the armor and crap I want.
Okay.
Plus, Sunshot Catalyst,
hold
and a
on.
quick side note, I'm a
If
hunter,
you
that's what
look-
I got. I want that. It was very mean of them to tie specific
Hold on.
catalysts to certain factions.
If you look at it, what was it? It was New Monarchy 3, Dead Orbit 1, and Future War Cult will try hard in the next round.
I know. I've heard it all.
Like, if you look at New Monarchy, the one thing that made me almost go for them is they have the one for the freaking Sweet Business. I've always
Yeah.
loved that gun.
Well, the
But-
Graviton...
Dead Orbit, I could not let that go without
gonna say,
Graviton
right-
lights. That is my most used
Right
weapon.
now, they're teetering on... They're not teetering, let's be honest. Vigilance Wing and the one you just said, drawing a blank. Graviton
Graviton Lance.
are right now bordering on being the meta. That's what people are going towards.
I'd put Skyburners
Yeah.
up there too.
But anyway, not any...
I don't even aim anymore.
Right.
Just drop out Skyburners.
Yes,
and
Sky Murder's Oath is incredible. I've had a handful of times with it. Right, I'm working on the Mida mini tool quest right now. I'm waiting. I need to find 3 more scout rifles to dismantle before I can get the dang Mida mini tool. And I'm getting drop after drop, and none of them are scout rifles. It makes me really upset that I can't trade with people, because I know someone probably has 3 scouts that I could dismantle for no good reason.
My vault is full.
Damn, you got 3 in your vault, Nick?
I've got like 7 or 8 in my vault of scout rifles.
Oh, and on a side note, let's get back to features that they're changing.
Yeah, my vault's full.
Yeah, well, you guys are all D1 problems. Hashtag D1 problems, guys. Which, are you really filling up 300 slots there? 3? Well,
Every unique legendary that I get is in my
wow.
vault.
I guess I don't hold legendaries to heart as much as I probably should. I need to work on that. I need to figure out what's actually good.
That shaders and emblem. I mean,
Yeah.
shaders and mods.
Shaders, emblems, mods, emotes.
Well, let's get...
Well, the emotes and the mods, I mean, the emblems don't take up space, but the mods, dang.
Well,
Yeah.
let's...
Well, mods are kind of easier because you can break them down now.
Hey,
Well, yeah, but shaders, you still have to do them one at a time. It's a pain
get
in the
this.
butt.
Quick side note on shaders. I don't want to get the podcast wrong, so I won't shout them out.
Multiple dismantles.
Yes, I won't shout the guy out, but on a podcast I recently listened to, he had just gotten done a week ago before the reveal, had just gotten done talking about how he spent 45 minutes deleting all his shaders that he didn't want, and then I had already heard the reveal of bulk shader deletion before that. I was like, oh, bro, you wasted 45 minutes
When
doing
is that gonna happen?
Huh? With September
When is that
4th
gonna
update.
Or is it the August 9th
Is
update?
there an August 9th update?
Yeah, if you go into the pre-order, it says that some of the content drops early.
Oh. Those are quality of life drops too, like the bulk shader deletion. That's not really. They better not charge. That better not be
Quality.
part of what they charge for the expansion. They better just include that as a hot fix. You know what I mean?
Why would they
anyway.
charge?
So what I wanted to ask you guys going forward over breaking down the stuff we want to talk about. Should we talk about the major modes and things that they're adding right now, and then we can talk about like the quality of life deets towards the end. Because there's a quick list of a lot of little things, but we can break down some of the bigger bits that they're adding. So at the top of my list, if you guys are cool with it, they're adding a complete new multiplayer game mode. It sounds very interesting, called Gambit.
Is your guy throwing playing cards?
So let me read off what they've written here for us for the description. So basically, Gambit is an all-new hybrid 4v4 mode that combines the best of, in their opinions, PvE and PvP. So, for you noobs out there, player versus environment and player versus player. 2 teams of 4 race to summon a primeval enemy and be the first to burn it down. Disrupt the other team by sending a combatant blocker or invading directly with one of your own players. That's the overall premise. But now here's the quick breakdown of basically the 4 steps leading to winning this. So there's the fighting aspect. You shoot aliens until they're dead. So it's kind of like a horde mode. Your enemies will get stronger over time, so work together to defeat them quickly. The collection part of this is you'll pick up motes, which are these little glowing triangular drops that happen when your enemies fall. You can hold up to 15 on your person personally, but you lose them if you die. So you got to stay alive during this whole thing, collect them as best you can, and then that leads us to the third step of banking those motes. Drop your motes into the center structure, which earns you a blocker by depositing 5, 10, or 15 motes at one time. Eventually, you'll be able to summon a primeval, which is kind of like a main boss guy, when your team banks 75 motes total. Now, the kicker here that gets they throw into the mix that adds that whole PvP aspect is the invade option. When your bank reaches the 25 and 50 mote mark, you can send one player through a portal to invade the opponent's arena with one goal: disruption. So while they're fending off the enemies, you're going to go in there and try to kill some of them, just shake things up. And it looks like you can do that 2 different times. You pick one of your players to go over there before you finally summon the primeval, take it down, and the whole thing is just a race. What I saw in the trailer was one team is sitting over here, and there's a divide in the middle, so you can't get to the other team, and the other team's on the other side. The developers were saying you'll be able to taunt and throw out emotes at each other, yeah, let's do this, and then you're basically competing in horde mode against each other just to basically burn down the boss, and that's very interesting. Thoughts, guys?
Well, they don't just have you can send a guy over at 25 and 50. They've also got the thing where you can lock down their bank. I forget
what set. I didn't write it down in my notes.
It's an addition. They send a mini boss over, and it locks down their bank until that mini boss is defeated.
I heard it in the reveal, but I didn't see it in the notes.
So, in the trailer, they sent over a taken Centurion, and what it did was when he spawned, their bank dropped down into the ground, and a red aura came over it.
Do you think then, because I don't think they specified, but to get to unleash this blocker on them, does that mean you're spending some of your earned bank points to do that? So you're basically, you have to earn more motes to compensate, but at the same time, it holds them up too. You're like, here, we're gonna spend some emotes.
Yeah.
If they're about to win,
you can slow them down and then try to grind out a few more kills, get those emotes, bank out on the primeval, take him down, burn him down, and you're good. Either way, though, yeah, some cool twist, and that's a really cool way to incorporate. It's
kind of like RTS. It's what it feels like.
How so?
kind of a MOBA feel, actually.
Yeah, a little bit of that, except for there's no lanes. It's just side v side, and you have to defeat the PvE.
Still, I'm interested in trying this one out.
It's one of those things where you got to plan on it, and if they're getting a little
Send
bit
over
ahead,
some deception or do a blocker. Yeah.
a lockdown on their bank.
Well, because think about it, you send over a blocker, someone's sitting on 15 moats, and now that blocker killed him. Oh, you're just saying that the blocking would be worth it because, like, let's say someone's at 15 moats and that's all they can carry. You drop a blocker,
Right.
the blocker
They lose
kills
their
them, they
moats
drop
and they
the
have
moats.
to go. Yeah.
Like one of those big cabal guys with the Gatling gun drops in.
No, it makes sense to.
It could be very.
It's
It could be very fun and
get reward for taking
very
the risk.
strategic game mode to mess around with.
now it'd be funny
they
if the wall there. You
Yeah,
throw
I'm
grenades over.
guessing there'll be some kind of invisible barrier that prevents that. Otherwise, people will be launching shit over there.
Like a death wall.
So, Gambit is their multiplayer thing they're adding. Let's see. I guess we're getting down to the nitty gritty of just like the lot of little things that they're updating and changing. Let's really quick talk about just the 2 new major locations they're adding. So the first big one, the major one that's going to incorporate some of this plot for the new drop is the Tangled Shore. Our description here gives us the most lawless frontier in all of the reef. The Tangled Shore is a dangerous web of asteroids lashed together. Its isolated location far from Vanguard and Awoken authorities make it an ideal home for pirates and outlaws seeking marooned treasure. Space pirates. That's what we're hearing. With that, we're getting... let's see, where did I write it here? So...
You'd think if we're going to be there with space pirates, they should give us at least space battles with our ships that we have
it's
to
the
collect.
endless request.
Bastards.
The one thing we got coming out of that is not... So it's not like the social space that we got in D1, but it's more like a completely new location that we go to that involves the plot. It seems really cool and gritty, and I liked the tone and feel of the reef in D1. So,
Well, since you're there at the reef, do you think they're going to have that social
maybe
place?
something small, maybe, possibly. They said they're going to be at E3, and they're going to be at Guardian Con, which is in July. So they may yet still reveal a couple more things. They reveal like a bulk of what's coming.
They were talking that it's going to be kind of like Titan with 2 spawn points. Something like Mars was.
Right, where
the 2 main
where you can talk to
fast travel spot.
Anna Bray as a vendor, kind of, after you complete the Warmind content. Same with the Tower of with Osiris. After you complete that, you can go up to that tower and talk to Brother Lance. Yeah.
Brother Lance.
Well, I think they're saying that it's going to be bigger than Mercury, but not as big as like the EDZ or Nessus.
I hadn't heard about scope or size for the Tangled Shore. So not a whole lot to talk about with that other than aesthetically it looks great, and I'm excited to go back there to that area.
So did I hear correctly? You could be Robin Hood?
Oh, skipping ahead. I was gonna go to raids, but we can touch on these. So let's dive into new weapon systems overall. There's a few exciting things here. So first up, one thing a lot of people were unsure of and not happy with, and some got used to, and were like, "Oh, now you're gonna change it." But I think the grand majority of Destiny hobbyists liked the way D1 was for weapon systems. So the way the developers have stated it here is you're going to get a lot more freedom with the way they're revamping the weapon system. Gone are the days of primary, secondary, power, or however D1 went. I don't even remember. It's been so long.
Kinetic.
And heavy.
Kinetic,
That's what the power weapons were called,
heavy.
was heavies back then. So gone are those days of being forced into one or the other. They're quoted as saying, want to play like Destiny 2? Great. Want to play like Destiny 1? Great. Want to use all 3 weapon slots with shotguns? Have at it. That's not a direct quote, but they did showcase 3 shotguns in all 3 slots.
I need to make a correction to that. It was primary, secondary,
and then it was
heavy
kinetic
for D1. Energy and power. If we're going to be spot on, we got to be spot on.
They need to bring back Bad Juju.
Bad Juju was a wicked pull strike.
That was my favorite weapon.
Oh man, I loved the what was it? I can't remember if it was called Bewitched or what was it? Where it was the white skin with the weird, like red circle, red demonic writing on it.
I
That
don't
was a
know.
wicked.
I got the dragon one.
The dragon one was a good one. That's one thing that I wish they would touch on in D2, the dragons.
Yeah, I mean, the Worm
That
God
kinda
in
died.
Warmind was the closest thing we got to what they mentioned in lore. But there's a lot more going to the dragons.
No, on Titan. You see it out in the water. Big, gigantic serpent out there in the water.
Yep.
That being said, guys, how do you feel about
Cool.
that? And what do you think they're going to do when it comes to, like, ammo capacities? Because we're going to still have, basically, some of them are going to be considered power weapons. But what's going to happen when we have 3 rocket launchers?
It'll probably be something like with the Fighting Lions, that grenade launcher, where you have minimal ammo reserve, but they will introduce perks or mods that allow you to gain bonus ammo based on kills.
Yeah, I'm really interested because, and or is that going to require us to be just really watchful for how much ammo gets dispersed? Like, are we going to run out of ammo? I just throwing that out there.
Triple
No one's
rockets,
saying
that's
that,
ridiculous.
but they did say 3 shotguns, so they are entertaining the idea. The developers in that reveal were talking about,
Either
in
that,
regards to like some of the supers, they're like, some of these supers are going to break the game, and they're ecstatic. They're like, because they realized that was where the power fantasy of Destiny 1, the power fantasy of being a powerful guardian, is what excited the hardcore fans, and the developers were really sad when they made the changes they made, and they realized what they're bringing back excites them greatly because they know the hardcore are excited about that.
Well, if you remember it in the beginning, I was upset about Destiny 2 because the low charge rates and all that. It's like, I'm just playing another
I
another
remember,
shooter.
Nick, that was your first number one complaint when we talked about the excitement of these changes. You still held fast to, and I don't dock you for that you said you felt less powerful as a guardian. And I get it now, realizing how much they're bringing back and how much the hardcore fan base loved it. I didn't really realize that at the time because
this game, you're a motherfucking guardian. you are a badass.
No, I realized that, and I mean, I kind of understood that. It didn't hit me the same way when I first jumped in. I didn't realize what I'd missed because I missed out on the Galahorn fiasco. I missed out on all the times when the D1 was broken, and it was left broken for several weeks before things got nerfed. I missed out on the parts when things got nerfed and people were mad, and I missed out on those parts. And now
dude.
I missed out on the
Even-
excitement of that and the changes, you know?
Even in D2, there was broken stuff there for a minute.
the solar version of the ice gun.
Yeah,
Soulbreaker?
That was brutal.
Or when Mayhem first came out and it was infinite Nova bombs because you could discharge your grenade and launch the Nova bomb and then your Nova bomb was instantly back and you just launch it again and then it was back.
No.
And you turn into a Nova bomb machine gun.
But see, I'm excited that they're excited because they realize, they were worried when things were broken before and they nerfed things quickly. And then when they made the dramatic changes and lost the fans' love because of the dramatic changes of D2 Vanilla, that's why I think they're so much more excited now, because they're like, we're bringing back what you guys were so upset with us before, and we're excited that you get to experience this again. And they're now over the fact of whether or not it's broken or not. They're like, no, we want it to be broken. We understand you guys love the power fantasy. It'll be broken for moments at a time. But they also said they're gonna take longer. They're gonna spend more time before nerfing things so quickly. They're gonna be less quickly to nerf things going forward because they realize the power fantasy is what drives the hardcore fan base.
I want the Valkyrie as a permanent power weapon.
I hear you.
But
Lynn.
With
Tony.
the things you're saying, they've shown that. One of the supers for the Warlock is that beam laser.
Yeah, let's talk about the supers.
They've already put an exotic into the database for it that extends the duration, meaning that they are totally prepared to make it
destroy,
overpowered as shit.
OP'd.
So the death ray of doom,
freaking destruction ray, yeah,
destructive ray.
The doomsday beam,
razor beams.
Man. Hey, so let's talk about those real quick. We'll get on to the new weapon type in just a second, but let's just cover since we're talking about supers. So the Titan gets an oversized Thor hammer now. Like, we're talking ground slamming, wave pushing hammer. I'm not familiar with the previous supers that it had.
Isn't that like the weapon we got on the end of Iron Banner?
Iron Lord?
Yeah, the Iron Lord. The big weapon you got at the end of that story arc.
Is this like a fiery version of that?
When you do the smash with the weapon from D1, it would cause a tornado that would
it's the same weapon,
put a dot on the end.
It is, because they described it creating a tornado. Yes.
What they showed was you slam down, there's a ground effect that goes out, and the first enemy that it hits, a tornado comes up, it looks like. And then you charge towards that tornado, which looks freaking awesome.
Yep, that's what they showed, yes.
I'm a Titan player, so I'm happy with that.
And on top of that, Lightning, the Arc Titan, is also getting back the Superman effect. So you'll shoot up into the air and slam down wherever your crosshairs is at. So you go up, and then you just point your reticle wherever you want it to go, and you slam down right where that reticle is at.
Now.
And that was a D1 super effect right there.
I'm wondering what they're going to do for because it almost sounds like they're going to do a designated a subclass for each of the three main classes.
They've mentioned that
you have for. So you have the arc, and then the fire, the solar. I wonder what they're going to do for the void. For Titans.
They mentioned they're going to adjust the subclass progression too a little bit, so I'm curious what they're going to adjust or change about it.
I didn't see. That was the only class I didn't see what's going on with it.
All of the others. What they're probably going to end up doing is, like, when you look at the classes, you know how you have at the end where you can choose how you want your ult to work. So they're going to just add another dot on the end of those transgressions. Yeah. So with the solar one, you can either have the throwing hammer or the big hammer.
Possibly.
The Havoc fist. You can either have the fist of Havoc or the Superman. The other one.
Well, it'll probably look like this.
Yeah.
they'll put it in the middle, in between the two.
3 prongs there. I also want to bring out. I'm a hunter main right myself. I I like Warlock. I'm digging it.
Okay.
I will eventually give Titan a go, but
You just like the stripper
I thoroughly enjoy Hunter, and I don't play much Arc Strider, honestly, so I stay away from that pull. However, I'm very curious about some of. So they showed a variation of the Sunshot by showing what looked like shuriken or throwing blades. So a version of that where they jump up in the sky and he throws a stream of like these throwing blades for one super. And then they showed this freaking, I don't know, I think it was Void, this like ninja style hunter where they zipline teleportation.
They get Blade Dancer. The Void gets Blade Dancer from D1.
Yes, and so what they showed on screen was he was like zipping, and the devs described it as like almost an anime attack where they're teleporting like zip, 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 and then the final move is like
no, you're talking. That's the Warlock right
That's
there.
Warlock.
Yeah, the Void Hunter gets Blade
What's
Dancer.
the teleportation one?
That was Warlock.
Okay,
that was the Warlock. He goes choo 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 choo, and then at the end
that was his arc version. I think that was his arc.
No,
that was very
the arc
purple.
version for the Warlock was the arc version for the Warlock.
That's the death beam.
Oh, okay. There's the beam for that
And
one.
then-
The other. So that was Void.
Yes, Void is the teleport,
Arc
and then
is
the
the beam.
explosion at the end. And then the Hunter gets blades for Solar. They get Blade Dancer for Void, and then they get the spinny staff that allows
Deflect
them to block.
stuff coming at him. Yeah, I saw that one. Okay.
Yeah. So what I think we're looking at with the Hunter now, basically they broke up the Sunshot. So now Sunshot normally aimed directional hit.
Yeah.
The Shurikens give you an area of effect, which
Yeah, you
they haven't had.
have the hand cannon accuracy with Sunshot, and now you have a multi-shot.
Shotgun.
You get Fan and Knives from one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't show all of them. I feel like someone had mentioned they were missing 1 or 2 out of the 9.
They don't. Yeah, they don't have Void for the Titan, and I didn't see a Solar for the Warlock.
So I'd be curious what those are. They didn't show them all.
Maybe we get Resurrection Warlock back.
What about Bubble Titans? Are we going to get those back?
They're
We
already
have
there.
Bubble Titan.
See, I don't play Titans, so I don't know that well.
Yeah, the shield thing you can hit it and reactivate it and
You're right though, Lynn. Self-res was like one of the big things they took away. There are podcasts based off of the name Rez.
Dude, you used to be able to solo almost anything with a Sun
I
Singer
remember
Warlock.
hearing.
I still have never done a layer.
I haven't either, Nick. We need to rally up with our other future host on this show, Doozer, and go.
Lynn's just like, shit, I need to get an Xbox.
Hey guys, we're gonna start a GoFundMe for Oni111. We're gonna get him just a real basic Xbox One S because he's a PlayStation guy, which we're not docking, but unfortunately the rest of the cast here is Xbox, and that's just what we have. It'll be cheaper to get him one Xbox than it would be to get all 3 of us PlayStations. So I think that's the way we need to go. That's my logic. I hear it's going on sale soon. In fact, I think there was a price drop during E3 or sometime around this time.
Yeah.
So it might be a good time to do it. All right. Anyway, throwing that out there. So
PlayStation went on sale too during E3.
Well, we've all got something to think about, don't we? All right, guys. Let's jump back in.
I'm a broke college student.
It's all right. It's all good. It's true. So, quick fire bullet points. I'm going to list off a bunch of these real quick, and you guys tell me what you want to break open if you want to talk about anyone in particular. So, they're making...
Armor mods.
What?
Armor actually gets stats
Okay.
now.
So let me list these off, and we'll go back to that. Armor perk adjustments and additions. The mod system's being revamped. We got random weapon rolls, guys. They're bringing back the original D1 grind. Looking for that god roll. And subclasses are going to be adjusted, as we discussed, probably with the supers. They haven't shown a whole bunch on that. We'll in the coming months we'll see what they're doing with that.
They removed Go Fast update.
They removed what update?
They will remove Go Fast
Maybe.
update.
So, before we hit that, real quick, let me backtrack for 1 second. When one thing we kind of skipped over that I'm actually excited about, and maybe it's I feel like it's a little fitting for my hunter. I think I'm gonna dive into it a bit, but a whole new weapon type, completely from all other types. They're bringing in the freaking bow, the legendary bow to be exact, with options for a long range, mid range, and short range version of those bows.
It's a bow, yo, with the biggest arrow ever.
And they're claiming it's very utilitarian, and it's actually like you wouldn't think that this would be something that you would turn to with all these automatic weapons. And something, I don't know if this is wording. Bungie seems to be very innuendo when it comes to wording. They say things, and they're usually very specific about what they say when they pepper in little details for the community to look into. But he said, especially when you got a machine gun shooting at you, and then they mentioned, and then you one-shot the guy with an arrow. Maybe this is irrelevant, maybe I'll leave it out, but is there something about machine guns that's not a normal thing in Destiny? Someone pointed out that he said machine guns, and that's not SMGs, that's something a little different. Is that just a word you guys think he threw out by mistake and wasn't implying that there might be an addition of machine guns?
Did he say machine guns or did he say automatic rifles?
In the live stream or a reaction to the live stream, someone pointed out that he said machine gun in the moment when the guy shot him with the arrow. He's like, yeah, that guy's got a machine gun. And he's like, yeah, but, pow, one arrow, pop, the guy drops. You got a machine gun coming at you. I don't know if the dev was being careless with his words or...
If we're talking about the video...
The 10-minute stream, it should be in the 10-minute stream. He actually says machine gun.
Yeah, but that Titan was using an auto rifle. He wasn't using the machine gun.
I'm just saying the wording. I wasn't talking about the gameplay per se.
I think the bow should definitely be almost adjustable. If you want to shoot quick, it does less damage, but if you hold it, it kind of charges up. Like you're pulling that string back and just...
True, most RPGs do that. Lynn, about the machine gun real quick, what?
I see what you're getting at, though, like the Thunderlord or like the... what was that other one from D1? The one where when you missed a shot, it would return it to its magazine. But machine guns, the ones that are dead currently.
Yeah, I'm just saying...
Yeah.
The heavy machine guns.
Yeah. I'm just saying...
Yeah.
I'm just saying, and it got brought up by people reacting to the video. People were like, did he say machine guns? I think they said it on Fireteam Chat at IGN. I think I listened to their podcast reaction to it, and I think they brought up the fact, I think it was Destin Legary quoted saying, did he say machine gun?
Sorry. I'll be more excited when they start bringing the whole...
I'm shrugging my shoulders.
Because we got
I don't know.
cannons.
Well,
we got side
I know.
arms. We got SMGs.
There's some powerful sidearms. I'm not a huge fan of them. There are some powerful ones, but
I don't want to get hyped about the machine guns thing because every time I've been excited about something that was
just
into
hinted.
that, it doesn't exist.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I'll keep tabs on whether or not it is, and then if it is, you can be excited.
with the introduction of random rolls coming back, though, I will be severely disappointed if they don't bring back luck in the chamber. That was my favorite perk from D1. Like the Hawk Moon, where it had luck in the chamber and then double luck in the chamber, where you got another 2 rounds.
I hear you. I don't know, man. I don't know. I had my thing. I don't know. I wasn't there for that. That's what I'm saying.
Armor mods? If
Let's
we
go
want
to
to go
mods
to
real
armor
quick.
mods,
What do you want to say about them?
like armor perks, not mods.
Okay.
Armor perks. It would be nice when they do introduce them, if they do the whole, like you get kills on Taken, or you get kills on Vex, or you get kills on Cabal, you generate light for yourself. That would be nice if they brought that back. Or like, I don't know, Grenader. That would be a good one to bring back.
Life Exotic.
Yeah. Life Exotic. That would be another one. Where you could have 2 exotics equipped at once. But that was for faction-based class items strictly.
Well, we'll have to see, good sir. Who knows? I don't know.
And that kind of bothers me that they did it that way, because I have, like, the freaking helmet with the lights for the Titan that gives arc stuff, and then there's a boot, greaves that go well. Those would be brutal together.
So you're talking the Unstoppable Skull Fort and probably the Marchers? The Doom Marchers?
Damn it.
It's okay. D1 was a fog.
Stand aside?
The what?
I think that is... They when you're charging, you build up an overshield. When you're running?
Charging line?
When you're running?
Yeah, charging line.
It might be.
Yeah.
But those would just go great together.
Yeah, I was just thinking as far as like the melee damage goes with the Unstoppable Skull Fort, the Dune Marchers when you're at full charge give you bonus melee damage.
Oh.
Interesting. Alright, guys. Hey. Let's jump into our last couple topics. Let's talk about the new raid called the Dreaming City. They said it's an in-game destination they've never done before. It's the Awoken Homeland. And let me throw down this quote, quoted by Steve Colton, game director for the Forsaken content drop. He said, in the reveal video, he said, "It's like if the Vault of Glass and the Dreadnought had a baby. Or if they had twins. And you took those twins and you put them on the doorsteps of Peter Jackson and he raised them as his own. That's the Dreaming City." They said it's going to be this surreal landscape, this very alien world. It's a destination designed to evolve over time, where the puzzles that different players solve end up changing the environment. Another quote, one of the devs said, "The Dreaming City is not going to be the same Dreaming City you saw in week 1 to week 2 or week 3, and it's an environment that raiders themselves are going to affect over time. So as players are going into this place and doing different puzzles and doing the raid, the environment overall supposedly is going to do this crazy evolution of change over time. So it's one of those things.
Timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly.
So it sounds like if I don't get in September, I'm never going to know what the Dreaming City looked like if I get into it in December. It sounds like it's going to be one of those type of raids. If the raids weren't weren't hard enough to get involved with for the casual. I'm going to raise my hand slightly as being a casual. I'm unfortunately a filthy casual, but I'm trying to change that. I'm trying to improve that.
Yeah, I've been able to get in
But
regular.
only one. Throw that extra one in there because there's 3.
One is the
So,
onlyest number.
Me and Thanatos here are sitting in like, man, it's cool. Don't think I'll ever see it. What's your perspective right now?
With the constant changes that they're talking, I feel that it might be like the weekly resets for like the Nightfall or the heroic modifiers, where it might be a different thing each week, and it might be constantly changing. Like in that way, though, I don't think it'll be permanent. So you might actually be able to interact with certain things, because I have a feeling they'll probably hide.
The core of it, I'm sure, will be a certain thing. You know, like the thing as a whole is going to be a certain thing. They made it sound very grandiose when they said it'll change and always be forever changed. I know they're not saying that the whole backbone or framework of the entire environment is going to be dramatically different and never the same. But I feel like this. I don't know. It sounds like they're pretty confident with the fact that there are going to be things in it that do change, possibly forever and permanently. But I do feel like the environment as a whole is going to have a core aspect to it, a framework of how it is and looks that will have consistency, obviously, and never change. But they did say there are puzzles that Raiders will be doing that will change or affect the environment. So I don't know. And maybe it's on a personal level too. Maybe it only changes when you make the changes as a player. Maybe it's not a universal change. I don't know. They weren't super specific with how or what changes. You know what I mean? Like, I can... Okay, go ahead.
Okay, hold on. With them incorporating in the lore and the triumphs, I have a feeling they're probably going to hide some form of collectible in there based on either a weapon or some form of lore, and it will need to be accessible to everyone throughout, no matter what stage of playthrough they're in. So it'll probably be a rotating change, and that's what I'm getting at. I don't think it'll be permanent, because if everything's going to be accessible to everyone in the lore or triumph page, then it will.
No, that makes more sense. That it would be something that eventually resets. It would be kind of ridiculous to have a permanent change, so that players that have never gotten to it when it launched will never get to see it.
Or they might be dicks and actually make it permanent.
That's a possibility that's floating up there in the spin foil of our theory, isn't it?
And they drop the mic and they're like, "Casuals, suck it."
Well, they did say that they're trying to reshape the hobbyists, reshape the game for the hobbyist, or reshape the way a hobbyist tackles this game. Basically, they're trying to bring back what made this game long-lasting and forever playable. At least what the heart, You
say hobbyist, I say farmer. Same thing,
That's
right?
their PR term. I don't care what you call it. That's what they call it. They're calling it the hobbyist. Sure, if a hobby pays you buco bucks for live streaming it 8 hours a day, I guess so.
At that point, it's not a hobby; it's a job.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would say there are plenty of hobbyists, I'm putting up quotation marks for you guys that can't see the video, that do play these games for a living, the games that you grind, but I don't know. If you're not, I mean, what grinder doesn't benefit somehow through content creation? But that's a topic for another day. Let's wrap things up by talking about the future beyond the fall drop and the expansion pack. Let's briefly cover the cost of this game, our opinions on that cost, and what they're promising for the future going into the following year. I know some of us don't want to look into it, but we have some varying opinions, and we need to cover all our bases for the listeners out there because the community has a wide range of opinions. We're not docking anyone for any particular opinion. So, going into that, having said that, having whetted our appetites with what is coming out, how much they're adding, and what they're offering, this content drop is that for the base game of Destiny 2 Forsaken expansion, it is not unlike the Taken King, and they are pricing it similarly and appropriately for what Destiny fans had experienced previously at $39.99. So a whopping $40 just for that game, and like the Taken King, you had to have Vanilla Destiny, the House of Wolves, and the Dark Below expansion packs in order to play the Taken King at all. So we're at it again. Yay, Bungie! Thank you for that. Bungie has impressed us with this reveal with a lot to take in, and unfortunately or not, it is another $40 drop. That doesn't include the additional content thereafter that a lot of people are freaking out about. But before I jump into real quick, Destiny 2 came with a expansion pass where they promised 2 DLCs that have already come out, Curse of Osiris and The Warmind, and that was $20 each. And we'll get into opinions and thoughts in just a second.
No, I'm still in regards to the Forsaken.
Okay, I know, and I'm jumping back into that. I'm jumping back into that now. So
okay.
That's what that was. And so now we've got another $40 drop for the big, huge, game-changing DLC. And then there's a new pass now for future DLCs that they're promising. 3 new drops, and they're adding, hey, $30 more to that Forsaken for a total of $80. You can get what they're calling a year pass. I'm going to list them off really quickly what they're called. We don't know anything about them yet. In winter of 2018, they're promising a drop of Black Armory. In the spring of 2019, Joker's Wild. And summer of 2019, Penumbra. These look like they're quarterly drops. Every 3 months, we're getting a new DLC similar to Warmind and Curse of Osiris. But they have been quoted as saying they're not going to be as big, much to the chagrin of all of us, because I don't think any of us thought that Warmind or Curse of Osiris were considered big. But these are each going to be considered a little smaller than those from your traditional. They're trying to change what they're calling as expansions or DLC. They're trying to change what that really is. But the price seems to be similar. Although, to be fair, Curse of Osiris and Warmind were $20 each. These look like they're coming out to $10 each. So, put that into perspective. These probably should be smaller content drops. Don't know what all they entail yet. All of it's a mystery. Lynn, now let's jump back into the cost of the Forsaken being $40 as a base game by itself.
Oh no, you got it. What I was going to cover there with the 3
with
additional
the pass, them being
content
$10
drops.
each, if you break it down, and not knowing what that.
Yeah. have a feeling there'll be those content drops, those smaller content drops, will be similar to like what Borderlands 2 did with the holiday DLC drops, where they were small.
I was going to say specify. You're not
storyline,
talking about
and then,
seasonal
like,
events that Destiny's already done, right?
No. No. I'm not talking seasonal event. I'm talking these will probably be like what Borderlands 2 did, where there was a small storyline attached, like 4 missions, what have you, and then a bunch of cosmetic stuff, and that's what it'll be for $10.
I can see that as it not being much more than that, probably.
I don't know if they'll add in planets, but it seems like that's kind of what they're going towards.
Yeah, and they also said, as a side note, that the live updates, the hot fixes, the balancings, the updates, the seasonal events, like we're getting Summer of Solstice coming up soon, things like that are events are all going to be completely free, like it always has been. But the pass does sound like it's going to be less than what we got before. But they said the purpose of the annual pass is to show you we are promising dedicated drops this time, and we're going to pull through, because their overall apology for screwing up to begin with from the base game is that Forsaken is fixing all the things that the hardcore game base complained about. Maybe not everything, but a massive number of things are getting fixed with this. On top of the fixes, they're adding the campaign storyline, the new multiplayer mode, a whole new collection, a bunch of new systems, although small. They're still integrated into the game, like the collections aspect, the triumphs. All of that's getting dropped together. And, the new supers, the entire new weapon type, and also they're breaking the weapon structure by giving you complete freedom of dropping any weapon type into any slot unrestricted. And they've said, we know it's going to break it. This is knowing it's going to break it. That's our way of apologizing. Hey, sorry, we spent the last 6 months working really hard to do this. We still have to make a living. Please pay $40 for it. So, that's where we're at. I love the game. My justification, and then I'll open up the tale to you guys chiming in with your perspective on that. My justification for maybe not the pass, because that's kind of a wait and see for me. I don't know how worth it the pass, those quarterly drops are going to look like. I don't know if it's going to be worth it. But the Forsaken expansion pack to me comes to me as a player who wasn't pissed off to begin with, and that's why I'm okay with this drop the way it is, because I am such a casual player, at least when I started. I've been playing way more than I've ever played now, but when I started with Destiny, I was casual enough that there was so much content with Destiny 2 vanilla release that I wasn't going to be able to grind through it all anyway in the amount of time everyone else was. I can only put a few hours at the beginning per week, only a few hours in. And for some of these hobbyists and streamers, that's one night for them, I know Oni11, you pound out some heavy Destiny play, and I'm doing more of that now. And our buddy Doozer, future co-host on this show, also puts a crazy amount of hours into playing it because he loves it. So for me, being the super casual, this is more content than I could possibly get through. I'm getting through more now, being a more consistent player with it. But I was never personally upset with too many of the changes. So for me, I didn't need Bungie's apology. I understand how they messed up and why they needed to fix things. I understand the community, so I'm not dismissing the fact that happened. So, bottom line, I think I've put 100 hours now, which is minimal for compared to some. Is minimal compared to some, but I've put a full 100 hours into Destiny 2, including up to all the DLC with Warmind, which I haven't finished yet. But I've already got 100 hours in, and to me, most games that I spend $60 on, 100 hours is like, all right, I got my money's worth for sure at least. So I feel like this new Forsaken drop is worth 40. That to me is the cost of a new game that was recently used for only $40. And if it's giving me as much or more content than the base game of D2, I'm willing to spend 40, and I know that's not everyone's boat. So that's my perspective. I'm excited for the changes and the amount of crap they're going to drop. The year pass I'll hold off on. So, I don't know if Lynn or Nick wants to go first or next, but I'll let you guys decide.
Go for it, Nick.
I want to start this off by saying I'm a fan of the game. I'm a fan of the franchise. But I can't help but think they're repeating the same mistakes over and over and over again. And it's eventually going to kill the franchise. They have a complete game, but they're almost looking at it thinking, okay, here's a cool game, but what can I hold back and charge you for later? And they've done it in the past. They've done it with every release. Destiny 1 was supposed to be complete, and they're like, wait, no, let's cherry pick this out and this, and we'll release it later. Most of those things were supposed to be part of the game originally. They were ready to go. And they were pulled out. Destiny 2, it comes out. They did the same damn thing. They're not learning from their mistakes. I like the idea of where they're going with it, but I can't take any of their promises to heart because they haven't followed through on a single damn one. Other than it being a good game. I like the game. But everything they say that they're going to come through on, they drop the ball. I had a chart that I sent over on our Discord. That's the drop of the player base for Destiny 2.
Well, why don't you speak those words, because neither of us have had a chance to pop open the words. But Nick, you could still sorry.
It's just a steady decline in player base.
Oh yeah, I know. We most of us, including the players that have fallen off, know that, or have seen that. But so anyway, I'm not going to counter that. I understand that is a shared perspective with many people out there, and for a lot of them, this particular release is the one that they're going to try out, and a lot of them, I feel, have spoken outwardly that if this isn't the thing that brings them back in, they're dropping Destiny forever, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So that's your overall perspective.
Yeah,
what do you
I'm
plan
personally
on?
not happy with having to pay again.
What do you plan on doing or not doing come this fall?
I wasn't planning on buying Destiny 2. My friends talked me into buying it to play it with them.
Oh, sorry.
And I was glad they did. I love the game. I spent a lot of time on the game. But it's getting harder and harder to justify buying their games instead of waiting till they're lowered in price.
Agreed. And unfortunately, we do live in an era where games are constantly... I think they're starting to fix or make corrections overall, like multiple companies, not just Bungie. But I think we're unfortunately coming off of the tail end of an era in the industry where games come released broken, and every game has a day one patch, and every company tries to squeeze out more pennies out of additional content.
So let me reiterate. I love Destiny. It's an awesome concept. The game is fun. I enjoy it. I hate Activision and the need for Bungie to sell their soul to Activision to make a game work. I think if they were on their own, they could have made this a better game.
Which let's put a pin in that as far as them doing things on their own, because there's some news about that I might want to mention before the tail end of this, or we'll save it for the next episode. I want to get Lynn's opinion for the fall. Sorry, Lynn. Sorry, Oni111. I'm gonna call you out. Give it.
Dude, you gotta put it in the Bungie thing though.
A pin? No. I'm saying.
No, you said you were putting a pin in the Bungie thing though.
He liked what I brought it up. He's like, I have something to say on it.
Say it.
Come on.
Oh, can we talk about it after we find out your opinion? Well, I'll stay up long enough.
Okay.
I'll stay up long enough to cover that.
Okay. So, let me start off by saying, Activision and Bungie as a unit is a very much pay-to-have-fun unit.
Yeah.
So if you want to have fun, you're going to have to pay for it. I mean, if you want to get all the cool new stuff like the emotes and the shaders and the ships and the sparrows and the ghosts, you're going to have to pay for it. Either that, or you're going to have to dump time into it. And you're going to have to grind it out. Because, I mean, I don't know about you, but those bright engrams, they don't come, I mean, every 30 minutes for me. It's like maybe 2 hours I get a bright engram.
Mm-hmm.
But my thing is, on the new expansion, I'm on the fence. I'm going to grab my little bucket of popcorn. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to hang out. I'm going to dump time into it. I'm going to see where it goes. I really hope I'm not disappointed into it. I see all the stuff that they're saying that they're going to put it in. I really hope that it gets put in. Because they've, on the roadmap in the past, they've put things on there. And they've promised that these things would come. But certain things have been pushed. Certain things have been moved forward. And the things that have been moved forward aren't things that the community has been worried about. So I'm hoping that they listen, and the things that have been a concern over the course of Vanilla D2 get addressed with this, because if it's not, then it is going to be very detrimental to their, I guess, their core business ideal. I mean, but as of right now, I'm excited for what they've shown. I mean, just the super changes alone, the addition, and then like the weapon random rolls and the armor perks. I'm excited for it, but and I guess it's one of those the checks in the mail kind of thing. Until I get the check, I don't, you know, it's not there. I'm hoping. Go for it, Nick.
I would say, like, the weapon system upgrade. What happens for the people that don't want to upgrade to the next Forsaken program, the Forsaken update? So if they're in Crucible with people that are updated so that they have the 3 shotguns and we're stuck on our normal setup.
That's hot fixed. That's going to be hot fixed. It's going to force everybody to get that.
Yeah, that's one of those quality of life hot fixes that they're going to have to make automatically.
The things that aren't going to be available for the people who don't buy the expansion are going to be the story. It's going to be the adventures, the new locations. It's going to be the additional gear. I feel more than likely you won't be able to get like the armor sets or any of the stuff from the raid unless you buy the expansion. But you'll still be able to access PvP. I don't know if the legendaries or the exotics will be available to you or not. I can't speak on those, but I know that the raid gear won't be available to you because that's one of those things that you have to buy into the expansion. Because I know that with the Curse of the Osiris and the Warmind, there were raid stuff that was added in that you aren't accessible if you only have vanilla still. But most people by now have bought into that, so it's all accessible. And if you actually go into the gear and you look at it, the raid stuff and all the stuff from certain DLCs have an icon up in the top left corner. So,
and people, we want your opinion on this too. Please email us.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, shoot out a tweet, Facebook, hop on the Discord, what have you. Quick little side news note. I think you want to talk about this, Oni.
Well, we both can hit on it if you.
Yeah, I have the article pulled up, and
I've
heard people's opinions and people talk about it already. So,
Okay.
So recently, as early as June 3rd, I think, articles were being put out that a company known as NetEase, it's a Chinese tech company and gaming company, were put in $100 million investment into the company Bungie, and they bought a small partial stake in the company. So, like, it doesn't control Bungie in any way, but it gives them a partnership with NetEase, or at least an open opportunity for a couple things. With the $100 million, that gives them the opportunity to work on a new IP, which I think is what the initial investment was for to begin with, at least from NetEase's perspective. It also opens up the doorway that if Activision is interested in trying to work through Bungie to get to the Chinese market, because right now Destiny does not exist anywhere overseas in the Chinese market. So by having this open door possibility, they might be able to get Destiny over there. And there's 2 billion plus people in China, so that could
NetEase, if I remember correctly, is part of Overwatch and World of Warcraft.
I don't know what they own. Activision owns those.
I know, but I think they're already part of those, working with those.
But here's this partnership. This is separate from Activision. NetEase put investment into Bungie solely to Bungie. What this does is what people are talking about across the internet is they're worried, oh no, it's going to take away people from Destiny development. No, it's not. The developers have come out and said, no, this money gives us enough room to hire more people to work on a new IP. It allows us to shrink down the number of teams working on Destiny so that the team that is working on Destiny can be more focused on that content, and then they can go do new content. It also opens up the window. Bungie has come out and said they want to grow as a media company. And you're holding back so hard, Lynn, on something. What do you want to say? You want to say something?
Yeah. Just keep going.
They want to work. They want to work on a new IP, and what you had mentioned earlier, Mr. Thanatos, about if Bungie were just on their own. Bungie's got a contract with Activision to ride out, I think, another 3 years to the end of Destiny 3, or whatever that looks like, because they did a 10-year contract. And like Bungie's original contract with Microsoft, they did a 10-year contract with Microsoft, and once that well ran dry, they parted ways. A couple members from Bungie were recruited to start 343 Industries, and that's how Microsoft kept the Halo franchise running, much to the mediocrity of Halo 5. But they're trying to fix that mistake. Bungie went on to do Destiny and started a contract with Activision, for another 10-year run that they thought was going to be lucrative. And not saying that it hasn't been, but it's been met with a lot of issues. I feel maybe control issues on Activision's part. One of the benefits of this NetEase investment is with the development of a second IP coming out of Bungie, and this extra money could push them, if the second IP is successful, it could launch them to be able to self-publish their crap, especially coming out of the Activision contract once that's up. They also talked about this investment helping the future of Destiny, so Destiny could potentially flourish beyond the 10-year contract, assuming they don't sell off their wonderful asset to Activision, like they did when they made the mistake of selling off Halo to Microsoft. Anything else, Lynn? Go ahead. Pipe in. Say something. I'm missing something.
Okay, so here, let me go by this. Have you guys seen what J.J. Abrams is doing in the past few days?
Not recently. I know he's working on certain things, but what?
A game company known as Bad Robot Studios.
Oh, I know about Bad Robot Studios. I didn't realize it was game company related.
And the 10-cent Chinese company dumping into them and investing into them. Yeah, no, Tencent. The company Tencent that originally did LOL, Paragon, and a few others.
So is this a separate Chinese company we're talking about? Right? Okay.
Yes, this is a separate Chinese company investing into J.J. Abrams. There you go. There's another company investing into this. Okay, have we not learned in the past? Let's go as far back as the Pilgrims. What did they leave Britain for? What did Bungie leave Microsoft for? Okay, what is Bungie still in currently with Activision?
Yeah.
What is Bungie going to with this new investment?
I don't know. I've heard nothing about a contract though. I've just heard $100 million investment.
Right, but if you put that much money into something, what would you like to see from it?
True. Well, one of the things I was looking NetEase does is they take big games and they internet license them in China because the licensing is different. So Overwatch, World of Warcraft, Heroes of the Storm, most of Blizzard's big games, they're licensed through NetEase to be broadcast in China. NetEase handles all of that.
So the number one thing that might stem from this is
Destiny. I'm wondering if they're using it as a distribution instead of a...
They are talking about making a new IP, though. That is for sure.
That was the thing. It's going to be a new IP.
They've confirmed, Bungie themselves have confirmed they are going to work on a new IP because of this investment. So,
and that's why I brought up the J.J. Abrams thing with Tencent, is because it's going to be a new IP dedicated to China.
On a side note, NetEase is different from Tencent in that they're two separate companies. Yes, they're both from Chinese, but let's not stereotype the race.
But no, I'm not stereotyping.
I was cracking a joke. I was cracking a joke.
What I'm getting at is the whole something created for a purpose.
Yeah, I don't know.
So like the partnership between Bungie and Microsoft, the partnership between Bungie and Activision, the partnership between Bungie.
The thing with that though, sir, is those were very stringent, locked-in 10-year contracts that promised full funding from the partner company that contracted them.
Okay, but with this IP, what do we know of has come of it so far?
Nothing, because this is literally brand spanking new news. I haven't seen any articles dictating anything about what they're doing with it.
But how did they secure those funds? With any money invested in, there's always going to be a return expected back.
We're ebbing and flowing upon a very late hour in the night. So why don't we button up this with just the simple fact that we'll keep a sharp eye on it and see where it goes, because I don't have any further knowledge on the matter. And I'll have to do a little more reading to see what happens. But the 10-year contract with Activision ends in 2020. As a side note, so Well,
And if you get a chance, go look into the J.J. Abrams one.
sure.
It actually looks pretty interesting.
And
we will give that a roll.
Well, the thing that I'm most excited for is that it's Tencent. They've come up with a lot of games that have become extremely addictive.
a lot of AAAs.
Well, how should we close this out? I guess we'll have to work on our closeout over time, and we'll just develop something smooth and easy. Right? Well, guys, I think we did the cover. Did we cover everything, and then I just tacked on the news thing, or did we not do any closeout?
Mm-hmm. We didn't do a closeout.
Anyway. Well, Guardians, thank you for joining the Nerds of Destiny's pilot podcast episode. You guys can check us out on, by the time this airs, you should be able to find this anywhere podcasts are found. We'll be on iTunes and Google Play with this, and anywhere, most other places. You can also find us being hosted on, we are part of a Nerdentials media production, so you will find this podcast on nerdentialsmedia.com. You'll find a lot of other great content on there aside from this show, but go ahead and hit that subscribe button, guys. All the links will be down in the description for our Discord, our Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. Anyway, thanks for watching, Guardians.
From us here.
And
Whoa.
Well,
Let
Go
me
ahead.
close it out. And Guardians, we'll catch you at the next respawn.
stay nerdy.
no. Well, okay.
Yes.
I'll insert some epic music that kind of segues out of you and Nick saying that. Yeah.
And at the end, it should just be Weird Al's. Just too white and nerdy.
Completely throwing everyone for a loop.